It was the longest investigation in National Transportation Safety Board history. The final report on the September 1994 crash didn't come until March of 1999.
It's hard to believe it was 30 years ago. It's still so vivid in my mind. I remember the evening. I remember the time. It was shocking. Pittsburgh had never seen anything like it before.
The NTSB ultimately found Flight 427 lost control because of a rudder malfunction. A valve jammed, the rudder reversed, going in the wrong direction. The plane stalled, and the crew never regained control. Also unprecedented, how long it took for investigators to resolve the mystery of the tragedy. John Gismondi was one of the lead attorneys representing the families of Flight 427 crash victims.
There had never been a more difficult investigation or a longer investigation or a more complicated investigation than the NTSB ever undertook.
Tom Howder was the lead NTSB safety investigator on the case.
As we're checking off stuff, it's like, okay, this didn't happen, this didn't happen. And that's kind of how the safety board works. When you start the investigation, everything's a possibility, and you keep getting rid of possibilities till you come down to what happened.
It took 4.5 years. Gismondi has very vivid memories of the NTSB hearings in the crash held here 4 months after it happened.
The whole ballroom of what was then the Hilton Hotel, the largest ballroom in downtown Pittsburgh, was filled. All the families, it was heart-wrenching.
It went on for the better part of a week, very early in the investigation. Theories like a wake vortex, a bird strike were still in play, frustrating the families.
There was so much information being discussed, so many different theories being thrown around at that time. And as you can imagine, people were, they were starved for information.
It was evident in the faces of the families left behind.
There was pain, there was heartache, and there was frustration.
In addition to the scope of the human tragedy, the complexity and length of the investigation stays with him. Those thirsty for answers would have years to wait.
No group of families had ever waited in the United States as long to get an answer to why their loved ones died as they did in Flight 427.
Among the theories in play early on,
there were people who wanted to blame the pilots. Boeing and the FAA were certainly in that camp. They wanted to say the pilots messed up and go on from there.
The evidence didn't support that.
There was talk about wake vortex. You know, did the plane get caught in the wake vortex? In other words, the trailing turbulence of another plane.
That was considered extensively and ruled out.
They looked at the issue of bird strike. You know, was there bird strike that that somehow got into an engine, led to a failure? Again, came up empty there.
Engineers at the NTSB and at Boeing explored all theories with tests upon tests.
Hundreds and hundreds of simulations trying to calculate, well, what would cause a plane to go from this position, you know, coming into land and immediately.
Gismondi says it took 4.5 years to arrive at what the investigation finally revealed, the focus falling ultimately on the rudder, a malfunction in the valve that controlled the movement of the rudder on the tail of the plane.
I think ultimately the heavy weight of their conclusion was more that it was a design flaw.
Investigators also looked at the 1991 crash of a Boeing 737 in Colorado and a 1996 near crash in Virginia. NTSB determined those likely involved the same type of rudder reversal. Boeing redesigned the valve and retrofitted it on other 737s. As for how long the findings took to reach, Gismondi says,
the length and the complexity and difficulty in the investigation wasn't due to lack of cooperation from Boeing. It wasn't due to inadequacy of the investigators.
He says it took years to both get to the cause and to eliminate so many other potential causes that the NTSB never had an investigation that took that long and was that complicated.
Nobody on the front end would have ever anticipated it was going to take anything like 4 years to unravel.
As for his evaluation of the investigative work by the NTSB on the Flight 427 crash,
I thought they did a thorough job. I thought they did a meticulous, logical investigation, which ended up taking longer than anybody would have imagined.
as for the lawsuits filed by the families of those lost, litigation was consolidated in federal court in Pittsburgh. All of those multi-million-dollar claims were settled. Gismondi says specific dollar figures were confidential.